turned out in their numbers once again. Thank you so much for his way round the bend towards the blue card, making his way round the bend.
Manchester City pay €100 million for Brazilian star Rodrigo. Goes Manchester City have once again sent shockwaves through European football, completing the sensational €100 million signing of Brazilian superstar Rodrigo Goas, a move that underlines Pep Guardiola's relentless pursuit of evolution and excellence. In a transfer window already bursting with headline deals, City's capture of the Real Madrid forward stands out as a statement of intent. Not just for the present season, but for the next era of dominance at the Etihad Stadium. A deal that shook Europe. Negotiations between Manchester City and Real Madrid were conducted in near total secrecy, with only a handful of executives aware of how advanced talks had become. When confirmation finally arrived, it sent ripples through Spain, England, and Brazil alike. City agreed to pay a fixed fee of €100 million, making Rodrigo one of the most expensive signings in Premier League history and one of the biggest outbound transfers Madrid have sanctioned in the last decade. For City, the message was clear. Even as treble winners, even as serial champions, standing still is not an option. Why Rodrigo? Rodrigo's name has long been associated with elite potential. Signed by Real Madrid from Santos as a teenager, he grew into one of Europe's most devastating attackers, versatile, intelligent, technically flawless, and ice-cold in the biggest moments. From Champions League nights at the Santiago Bernabeu to title races in La Liga, Rodrigo earned a reputation as a clutch performer, capable of changing games with a single touch. Manchester City did not simply buy a winger, they bought a forward who can play on both flanks, a player comfortable as a false nine, a tactically disciplined attacker suited to Guardiola's positional play. A proven big game mentality forged under extreme pressure in Madrid. At just 24 years old, Rodrigo arrives at the peak of his development, not the end of it. Guardiola's vision. Pep Guardiola personally approved the move, reportedly identifying Rodrigo as a perfect hybrid for his evolving system. With City increasingly facing deep defensive blocks in England and Europe, Guardiola wanted a player who could unlock space in tight areas while still offering vertical threat. Rodrigo's ability to drift between lines, combine quickly in short triangles, attack the back post, press aggressively off the ball makes him an ideal Guardiola forward. Sources close to the club say Guardiola sees Rodrigo as both a successor and complement to City's current attacking core. A player who can rotate seamlessly with Erling Haaland, Phil Foden and Jeremy Doku, while also offering something different. The end of an era in Madrid. For Real Madrid, the decision to sell Rodrigo was not taken lightly. The Brazilian was adored by fans and respected within the dressing room. However, with the arrival of new Galactico-level stars, increased competition in wide areas, and Madrid's long-term squad planning, the club reluctantly accepted that a blockbuster sale could benefit all parties. Madrid officials acknowledged that Rodrigo wanted greater tactical freedom, a more central role in attack. A project built specifically around his qualities, Manchester City offered exactly that. Rodrigo's dream move. Speaking after completing his medical, Rodrigo was clear about his ambition. Manchester City represent the highest level of football. Working with Pep Guardiola is a dream for any player. I believe I can grow here and help the team win even more. The Brazilian also cited City's style of play as decisive. They dominate games with the ball, they play brave football. I want to be part of that. His contract reportedly runs for 5 years, with an option for a sixth, placing him firmly at the heart of City's long-term project. Tactical impact at Manchester City. Rodrigo's arrival opens fascinating tactical possibilities. On the right wing, he offers precision and composure compared to raw speed. On the left, he can cut inside to combine with Haaland. Centrally, he can operate as an advanced playmaker in false nine setups. Unlike many traditional wingers, Rodrigo thrives in positional discipline, something Guardiola values deeply. His off-the-ball intelligence could allow City to dominate even more consistently in high-pressure matches. The Premier League challenge. Despite his Champions League pedigree, the Premier League presents a unique test. Physicality, tempo, and relentless schedules demand adaptability. Yet those close to Rodrigo insist he is perfectly equipped. His balance, low center of gravity, and decision-making should translate seamlessly. City's medical and performance staff believe his durability and professionalism will allow him to thrive in England. Commercial and global impact. Beyond the pitch, Rodrigo's signing is a massive commercial win for Manchester City. As one of Brazil's most marketable players, his arrival strengthens City's global presence, particularly in South America. Shirt sales, sponsorship activation, and global engagement are expected to spike, reinforcing City's brand as not only winners, but global icons. A warning to rivals. This €100 million deal sends a chilling message to City's rivals. Dominance is not enough. Evolution is mandatory. While others rebuild, Manchester City reload with elite talent already proven at the very top. For Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea, the challenge has just intensified. For Europe, a familiar threat grows stronger. Final word. Manchester City's signing of Rodrigo Goas is not just another expensive transfer. It is a declaration that excellence must be renewed, that ambition has no finish line, and that Pep Guardiola's City are building not just for today, but for history. As Rodrigo steps onto Premier League turf in sky blue, one thing is certain. English football is about to witness the next chapter of a Brazilian star forged on Madrid nights and unleashed in Manchester. Another news. 4 to stay, 3 to leave. Manchester City transfers that could happen before the January deadline. As the January transfer window edges toward its dramatic conclusion, Manchester City once again find themselves at the centre of the footballing conversation. Pep Guardiola's side, serial winners and masters of squad evolution, are quietly preparing calculated moves that could reshape their season's second half. While rival clubs scramble in desperation, City operate with cold precision, knowing exactly who they want, who they trust, and who may be nearing the exit door. This month tells a familiar but fascinating story. 4 players likely to remain, 3 who could depart, and one blockbuster arrival looming on the horizon, Rodrigo. The January equation at Manchester City. Unlike clubs who treat January like a rescue mission, City view it as refinement. The squad is already elite, but Guardiola believes perfection is a moving target. Injuries, form dips, tactical evolution, and squad harmony all influence decisions, and this window appears to be no different. With Champions League knockout rounds approaching and the Premier League race tightening, City's priorities are clear. Maintain squad stability while allowing surplus pieces to move on. Players who could leave Manchester City. This month, Oscar Bob. Talent seeking. Oxygen. Oscar Bob is one of the most technically gifted young players at Manchester City. His close control, calm decision-making, and ability to drift between lines make him a Guardiola-type footballer through and through. Yet, talent alone does not guarantee minutes in a City squad stacked with world-class options. Despite flashes of brilliance in cup games and cameos, Bob has struggled to establish himself as a consistent part of the matchday rotation. With Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, Jeremy Doku, and now Rodrigo potentially arriving, Bob's pathway looks increasingly congested. A loan move, or even a permanent transfer with buyback clauses, could be the smartest outcome. City want him playing weekly, growing through responsibility rather than waiting patiently from the bench. Several Bundesliga and Eredivisie clubs are monitoring his situation closely. Stefan Ortega, too good to be a backup. Stefan Ortega's time at City has been quietly impressive. Whenever called upon, the German goalkeeper has delivered calm performances, excellent distribution, and reliability that most clubs crave in a first-choice keeper. But therein lies the issue. At City, he remains firmly behind Ederson. At this stage of his career, Ortega wants regular football. He knows his value, and City know it too. If the right offer arrives, especially from a club competing for European places, the door may open. Guardiola will not stand in his way. In fact, City may view Ortega's departure as a respectful reward for his professionalism. A replacement is already being evaluated internally, and Ederson's status as undisputed number 1 remains untouched. Calvin Phillips, a chapter that never truly began. Calvin Phillips' Manchester City story feels like one of football's great what-ifs. Signed with high expectations, injuries, tactical mismatches, and confidence issues have prevented him from becoming the midfield anchor many imagined.